The case of the wacky English prof at Iowa State University would be funny and trivial if the problem she represents were not so widespread and so corrosive to the cause of higher education. Recently, the course outline for a writing class called English 250 at Iowa State was leaked to the media and immediately caused an uproar. In the outline, the instructor warned students that in their essays they're not allowed to disagree with certain leftist positions on penalty of dismissal from the classroom. When I saw the headlines, I was fairly confident that the professor's warning was without legal foundation. No professor has the authority to dismiss a student from her classroom, whatever that would mean, merely for writing an essay the prof disagreed with. And almost immediately, Iowa State University announced that the statement had been removed from the professor's course outline and assured students that their free expression rights would be protected in all Iowa State classrooms. Well, if you believe that, I've got some property to sell you in Portland, Oregon. I suspect that this assurance from university officials is little comfort to the students who are stuck dealing with this authoritarian teacher who's a third-rate feminist poet and all-round holier-than-thou nincompoop who shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a university classroom. And she, alas, is not unusual in the hallowed halls of academe where many professors long ago gave up on the pursuit of knowledge in favor of the much sexier and self-satisfying pursuit of social justice. This particular instructor, whose name is Chloe Clark, claimed in her course outline that writing against subjects like abortion, gay marriage, or Black Lives Matter is prohibited because it involves othering, founded on the assumption, quote, that one side doesn't deserve the same basic human rights as you do, end quote. Othering is the thing you're never supposed to do, unless, of course, the person you are othering believes in the sanctity of life from conception onward. Those people are to be hated. She also provides a long list of isms and phobias, including sorophobia, a new one to me, that are prohibited. We're also told that her course will use the idea of the monster, the ultimate other, as a focus for discussion in class, the idea being that women and ethnic minorities have been made into monsters in American society, and we must all atone for that. Well, many objections spring to mind, the most obvious being the problem of how anyone could be othered by a student writing an essay for their professor. Who does Chloe Clark think will be damaged if someone writes an essay that only she will read? It seems that it is Chloe Clark herself who can't bear to read arguments that offend her sense of righteousness. And Chloe Clark, as noted previously, is part of the majority of leftist feminist professors in English departments everywhere, many of whom have built their entire careers complaining about the mostly white men who built the prosperous, secure countries that pamper and support them. It doesn't take a PhD to understand that Chloe Clark's stated position violated students' right of free speech, which we used to think was a core value of higher education. That's now an old-fashioned view that hasn't held sway at universities for a long time, and it almost certainly doesn't matter to Clark or to most of her woke colleagues. Professor Clark would also not likely care if it were pointed out to her that her commandment against othering is itself an obvious act of othering against students with conservative, religious, and centrist viewpoints who already know themselves to be widely despised and demonized in the wider culture, Obviously, she's fine with silencing and shaming those who have not yet embraced the principles of her anti-oppressive classroom. As a teaching document, the professor's words showcase her bald anti-intellectualism and her utter inadequacy as a writing teacher, because any decent writing teacher knows that students should be encouraged, as they are in debating societies, to experiment in their writing, to try on arguments and styles of self-presentation, never with the assumption that the arguments being put forward necessarily reflect the real beliefs of the author, those real beliefs being none of the instructor's business. Moreover, every teacher worth her salary knows that students should be encouraged to engage empathetically with those who hold opposing views, because only when students can vividly imagine counter-arguments to their own position and can deeply understand the logic of their adversaries, only then can they effectively defend their beliefs. This teacher, though, like most woke teachers today, wants her students to make monsters out of those she disagrees with. The fact that Iowa State has confirmed that Chloe Clark lacks the power to dismiss students from her classroom for ideological reasons is something of a relief, but not really. She's still there, probably widely supported by her like-minded colleagues. She's still an ideological bully. Anyone who disagrees will be accused of victimizing her. And by the way, please don't send her an angry email, because very soon, I wager, we'll have to hear about the flood of death threats and rape threats she has allegedly received since her syllabus went viral. She may even have to take a leave of absence, poor thing. Her conviction of righteous victimhood is a dangerous mindset that must lead us seriously to doubt that she can ever grade students fairly or create a politically neutral space for class discussion. And sadly, she is one of thousands teaching today at universities across the English-speaking world.